Hi, I'm Frankie Smith, founder of Frankie's, a financial education network dedicated to empowering you have the confidence to be bold with the financial decisions that you are making. And this is season 2 of Talking Frankly with founders and investors. In each episode, I speak to investors and entrepreneurs about their own financial journeys, from seeking investment opportunities to pitching, fundraising, and scaling their businesses, all whilst juggling managing their personal finances. Through their stories, we'll find out more about how you can make the right decisions in your own financial journeys. In this episode, I'm joined by Joe Roberts-Walker, the founder of Mejuicer, a cold-pressed ginger shot company. Joe's story is fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to you being able to listen to this. I hope that you enjoy this episode. So I'm absolutely delighted to have Joe joining me today for the next episode on season 2 of Talking Frankly with founders and investors. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very welcome. It's always lovely to be able to talk about what we're passionate about and business, and obviously lovely to meet you, and really proud to be here.
Brilliant, thank you. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about you and your business Mejuicer?
Yeah, of course I can. So my name is Joe Roberts-Walker. I'm the founder of Mejuicer. So what we do is we make, well, I'll start off by telling you what I do for a living, which is my company, but it does feel like that is my life. So we make cold pressed ginger shots in glassware, as you can see here. A nice bit of product placement. So everything made fresh. And as you can see, it's in glassware because we collect, wash, and we reuse it. So there's no single-use plastics involved in what we do. So huge commitment to sustainability, and our purpose is really to make people feel more positive than they did before they had one of our products, an interaction with me personally or my staff, or anything that we put out in our social media content. We're all about positivity, not taking life too seriously, and just finding some fun in life, basically. So we're like a positivity brand that makes juices.
Amazing, and very much needed in all the doom and gloom that we see, particularly in our news flow at the moment. So taking a step back a little bit, did you always think that you would end up doing your own thing and launching your own business?
I could never say. I think I always wanted to have my own trade. Like, I think that's one of the things I've always admired about my friends who were, tradies, people that were decorators, plumbers. I was always like, I love the fact that it's their business, like they could do the work they wanted to do, the jobs they wanted to do. I was in the kind of going through the corporate structure, and I think I always wanted to have that autonomy of an agency to be able to say, right, this is what I want to do, rather than kind of always being, not that I've got any issue of working under authority. It was just like, when you could see something could be done differently and people wouldn't necessarily listen, or you didn't have the scope to change things, that often made me feel quite frustrated, and then I lost probably engagement with what I was doing. So probably you lose passion, right? Because you're not passionate, you can't change the things you want to change. When you do your own business and do set up your own thing, then completely the pendulum swings the other way. You can do everything you want, you can change everything. There's obviously risk, but you have the ability to stamp your influence on everything that you do, which is what I really enjoy.
Yeah, and for me as well, I think that it's that being able to be in control of your own destiny, and calling the shots, making the decisions, and seeing where you can end up. I think it's very different from the being in the corporate world. But before you launched Mejuicer, you'd actually had another community that you'd started. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I set up a road cycling road cycling group called Stain Cycling Club. And some people say that Stain Cycling Club walked so Mejuicer could run, because I think what it taught me was that if you build anything, and it can be a social club, it's a group of people getting together, you're showing leadership skills to make it happen, to keep the group together, and to keep people's interests maintained in it. Those skills are massively applicable to business. It's not too dissimilar. Obviously, you've got more transactions involved because you need to generate revenue. and that is obviously a challenge. But the essence of what I wanted to create for my business was a community, and through the cycling group, through my passion to build something and show people what it could do for them and the benefits it gave to people. Like at the time, everyone that was channeling any issues they had or struggles in life, and you get on the saddle and you ride for 30 miles with your friends, you forget about everything apart from the beauty of your the surroundings. It's incredibly a cathartic experience, and and to sort of really indulge yourself in nature and to sort of free your mind. That's what people say, these things, exercise does that for you, but if you, and in a meditative form, cycling did that for me. And it was just so much fun. Like, it was so much fun building it, seeing the following growing. One point we had like 25 riders, and we had to turn people away because we had too many people. Causing traffic jams, and then had to get PLI insurance. Got all that serious, right? So I loved it, and it really for me, like, made it clear that it gave me the confidence to know I could build something,
and then you could take it into the next thing.
Exactly.
And with Mejuicer, obviously it was a business that was born out of COVID.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about when you started kind of trialing juices in your own kitchen,
Yeah.
and how it's kind of progressed to where it is today?
Yeah. So, a side hustle. And this is what I kind of love about the story of my business, is like, it literally was one of those ones where I was pretty bored shitless in my house. Like, what should I do during lockdown? Wasn't engaged with my work anymore. Knew I wanted a new challenge. At the time, I was living with my sister, and as all good siblings do, it was her birthday. I bought her a present that was always going to be used for myself, right? So that's what we do. So that was the ulterior motive. So I bought a juicer for her. So because we cycled, we used to always cycle to a cafe. That's where I used to get fresh carrot and ginger juice. And then during lockdown, couldn't get hold of that anymore, and there was only, like, because obviously all the shops closed, and you can only get supermarket juice, which is, let's face it, like, not very good. It's not very fresh. It's always in single-use plastic, and doesn't actually ever taste like it should. And I wanted carrot and ginger, and this is literally the moment where I was like, is this the gap in the market? Because I asked around. I was like, one of my friends had set up a kombucha business, and I asked him, I was like, why can't you ever get carrot on the shelf? Turns out, it's got a shorter shelf life if it's not pasteurized, but it was the gap that I needed, and the incentive, I suppose, the inspiration to inquire as to why not, ask those questions. And that was the very beginning of I was intrigued, and then I got excited, and then I got passionate. And that's like the sort of steps that it took to get to what I wanted to do. I'm not, I haven't got a background in nutrition, no like real passion for making juice, but I started to make this carrot and ginger juice for myself, and then an opportunity arose out of tragedy. A friend of mine's dad passed away, and during COVID, obviously we couldn't attend the funeral or anything, and I thought, what could I do for him? So I was like, I'm going to take him over some of this juice I've made at the time, and get back on it. It was in a 2-pint carton of milk, which I obviously rinsed out first. But I took it over to him and his family, and just said, look, obviously my condolences, but also this is to keep you guys going through a difficult time. And he was like, mate, this is banging. Like, sorry to be cheeky, but can I get some more? So
amazing.
That was that was
the start.
That's the start of the business. You realize that I didn't sell it to him, gave it to him, but that was the beginning of Mejuicer. Was like, we've got this, people like the product, and let me now get excited about how I can improve it.
And you've spent a lot of time, the vast majority of the time, bootstrapping the company. And in those early days, can you tell me a little bit about how you were going about juggling, making the juices, bringing in the sales? How did you kind of take it forward from that point?
Oh, there's some places I don't want to go, and that is the PTSD of having to go back to those days, because I worked every hour of, like, under the sun. Like, it was like from honestly, like 22-hour shifts sometimes, because I was making the juice, then doing the social media journey, delivering the juices overnight, because I needed to maximize my time. I couldn't be in traffic, so we delivered the juices around London. And like, what's a critical part of the business model is we collected all the jars back. So we put it in glass, collect them, and then get them back and then wash them. So that has not changed, that kind of model, which we're very proud of. But I put in hours that I would never expect anyone else to put in. They are the founder hours. You do have to do it sometimes. And I used to always have massive bags under my eyes, red eyes, and it was push yourself to the limit. Bad sleep obviously, and it was a real challenge, but you learn so much about yourself and what you're capable of doing, and you get so much time to be able to think. And obviously I built the business from the ground bottom up, so I know every facet of it. I know what works, what doesn't work, what needs attention, but then also I knew how to be frugal. And to quote Jeff Bezos, I saw a quote, might not be quite correct, but something along the lines of when you're applying frugality, you're always more innovative. The innovation is driven from frugality, I think is something like that. Point being, when you're broke, you've got to make money somehow, so you're more creative, you think of ideas. You can get lazy. If you get loads of money in your bank, you can pay someone to do something, but I don't think you're thinking as creatively as when you have to make it from broke.
And your back's against the wall.
Your back's against the wall. If you've got to put the beans on toast on the table, you need to think of ways that you can make money. And do you know what? Even to this day, when we have staff talking about their ideas for growth, if they've come from companies where they used to spend big marketing budgets, I have to say that there's a realization of we can't do that. We can't spend 20 grand on social media adverts. In fact, we've never spent a penny on ads. Everything has been done from people promoting us, referring us, and just that word of mouth, that snowball effect. And that is what I spent so much time doing in those hours where I was working so hard, was to convey my passion and us as a people-based company and creating that community.
And what an amazing job you've done so far.
Thank you.
So you spoke earlier about carrot and ginger, and that being the kind of gap in the market that you've seen. How long did you stick with that one product? Did you really get that going?
Really good question.
Now we've got kind of a whole range, and I'm dying to try mine in a minute. Tell me a little bit about the recipes and how you've done that.
So one observation is that there's no carrot and ginger here now anymore, because we don't do it anymore.
Okay.
Right? So a big learning was that, and they talk about the pivot, you start something off and it might not necessarily be what you stick to, because once you're in the business, you start to learn a load. And if you stay too strict to your principles or what you thought in the beginning, you will fail. But I have a background in market research, so I should be good at listening, even though people tell me I'm not. But you've got to listen to your feedback. The tragedy with carrot and ginger, it's got a really short shelf life. Carrot juice, 2 or 3 days, and it turns into almost like a gunge type viscosity.
Right.
So you can't, no one's going to want it unless they can drink a litre of it within 2 days, right? And that's not everyone. So quite soon I realised that after some customer feedback from friends. There was people who had carrot juice that exploded onto their fridge or their ceiling. It's absolutely terrible. So you've got to can't be stubborn. And I realised this, and I was like, right, let's try something else out. And then do you know what? I don't know if I've ever said this before, but Wagamama had a very good menu of juices, which inspired one of my first juices.
Okay.
So it's a bit of an imitation of the three ingredients they had. I had a go at it, and I made it a little bit better, slightly different apples. And I was like, right, let's make this more intense, make it a ginger shot, and let's go from that. So, that was again, realizing that something wouldn't work from a financially viable point of view. You couldn't scale carrot juice, unless you pasteurize it. You just can't move the volume quick enough. Or we couldn't at the time. And something I'd love to come back to when we've got the right setup for it. But because we're about processless juice, pasteurization is a process. It's also a different type of model for the business in terms of the manufacturing process. So ours is just cold pressed, bottled, sent out. So we can do it with ginger shots because they've got longer shelf life. And yeah, that's that really. Yeah.
Amazing. So what have I got here?
Right, so you've got pineapple, apple, and ginger. It's called Calypso. So the brand's Mejuicer, play on Greek mythology. So Medusa and juice, Medusa.
Okay, so it smells nice.
Yeah. So that's just fresh pineapple, just
And it
crown taken off.
tastes really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Really nice.
So that's one of our most popular flavors. It's yeah, I think like hopefully you can taste there's you get the sweetness of the pineapple, but there's that warmth of the ginger that comes through. So obviously in the month that we're filming this in January,
Yeah.
we're very popular because people want a bit of a kick, you know, to ward off the illnesses and bugs and stuff. But also when people aren't boozing, ginger shots come in quite
Yeah.
nicely.
And do you find that's an interesting point? Do you find that throughout the year,
Yeah.
you've got different levels of sale? Like January, obviously, new year, new me or new everyone.
Yeah.
Kind of, do you see that as a big spike and then it starts to tail off?
So
or-
it's a really, really, really good question. And like, so seasonality of the business, yeah, if you're in FMCG, seasonality is massive because, yeah, are your products seasonal or, you know, or do they have a few months where they've got a spike? January is definitely one of our busiest months, but we're fortunate that because we've positioned these, and they are within the sort of wellness category. And we are now massively involved in corporate hospitality. So B2B is where 90% of our business is done now.
Okay.
So in the corporate hospitality world, they're always looking for perks, make their staff feel valued throughout the year. The only month of the year where that doesn't happen is August, where everyone is like on holiday.
Yeah.
But then even then, we still got events going on. So I've learned that August is always quiet, and I need to stop fearing it because I always get the dread when it's quiet, the pipeline. But the rest of the year, you know, these can be spring, they're fantastic, summer, they're fantastic, and then we will bring out new flavors that are, you know, seasonal. So, you know, in the autumn we brought out a pear flavor.
Okay.
In the winter we brought out one with cayenne pepper to bring a bit of heat and you know, a bit of spice to people. Yeah, that's what we do. So yeah, it's like you can always refresh everything.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, to understand those gaps in the pipeline and work out where those quiet periods are going to be, so you can plan for those.
Massively.
So you talked about the corporates being a really key avenue for you.
Yeah.
How what is it? Particular types of businesses? Is it all, you know, certain sectors more focused?
Yeah. So again, what I love about my business is the versatility of the product. Like they can go anywhere.
Yeah.
They're ginger shots, they're sustainable, they're fun, they're tasty, they're enjoyed, you know, and that means that, you know, there's no restriction as to where they can go. So our client base, you know, we've got fantastic clients. So Ralph Lauren, we've got Amazon, Salesforce, like huge companies, big companies with, you know, incredible brand histories. And they are looking for products to bring to their workforce to show them that they value them and to show they take wellness, you know, seriously. And also they've got ESG commitments, you know, and they've got things that they need to be looking at. They need to be doing something that is tangibly sustainable. When people see the world burning, they see the LA wildfires, they start thinking, shit, what can I be doing?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that reusing one of our glass jars is going to stop all this, but people have to start taking some element of responsibility.
Yeah.
And corporate responsibility is huge.
Yeah.
So the sustainability whole point of it only works if there's a marriage between the consumer and the corporate company that's churning this stuff out.
Yeah.
Like our competitors churn out plastic and say that people can recycle it. Do they? And where does that recycling even go?
Yeah.
Probably ends up on a beach in Lagos. Like it's like, you know, we take corporate responsibility of every part of our packaging. What we put out, we take back, and our byproduct pulp is turned into biofuels. We are a zero waste company. So companies want to support companies like mine, and brands do, because we are positive. We donate 1% of or 2% now of our revenue to charity. So the campaign against living miserably is a suicide prevention charity. It's something we're passionate about because I think unfortunately suicide impacts everyone, right? You know, I'm sure someone knows someone who's either been lost to suicide or has stayed and still with us. And a very close friend of mine went through a terrible episode, and very fortunately he's still with us, and that's why I wanted to do it, because that charity saved his life.
Okay.
And I get emotional, but there's a lot of people that, you know, if I can work this hard, we can, and corporate companies can buy our juice and a
And
penny in every pound goes
yeah,
to a company that's saving people's lives who don't know how to start these conversations, and then that's something I want to be part of. I want to give back because people gave me help, and I got support in various different ways, in throughout my life. And it's kind of like, you never know when you're going to need support,
yeah,
and some people need it at times that they never know they might need it. So
yeah,
yeah, and the other one is the Burnt Chef Project, which is a hospital. They provide services again, giving people access to services that they might need if they're in trouble. That can be financial advice, it can be mental health advice, but that's for people in the hospitality sector who got absolutely crushed during COVID. The
yeah,
whole sector and industry got
yeah,
destroyed. Half the workforce left after Brexit, and the rest, were put out of a job because there was no one was doing anything. So they've been really hard hit, and we again can support the people that are buying our juices. They're our clients, so it's
yeah.
like us saying as well, like, we massively respect what you do, and here's something that we can give back. So yeah,
It's
that's what we're about.
amazing, and it's great to be able to have your own thing and be able to then support the causes that are close to your heart as well.
Big time.
So this business, you spoke about this mission that you were on personally,
Yep.
to kind of bring happiness into your own life,
Yep.
following some personal tragedy.
Yep.
How have you found kind of throwing yourself into the business? Have you how's that kind of changed your mental health and your outlook and everything that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're talking about, but so my brother James passed away nearly 9 years ago now, and the main thing was that I wasn't happy before in what I did. I used to work in market research for clients who are very demanding, and there was very little fulfillment when you did do a job because there's always another thing that could be done, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, it made me unhappy, and I promised him that I would always do my best to be happy. And I found myself, I remember going back, I was so stressed and I cried, and I was like, I got really pissed off at myself because I was like, how, I'm in this situation, I've got life, and I'm unhappy, and I'm a 28-year-old man. Like, no, I think I was probably 29, crying because of work stress, because of some person in Silicon Valley who's demanding too much of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to change it, and I've got agency to change my life. And so my whole entrepreneurial journey and what Mejuicer has been for me has always been about my lifestyle, and to provide and give myself a better life than I had before, and to find happiness and joy again. And for anyone that's experienced grief, you know how shattering it is in every part of your life. I lost my brother, so it devastated my whole family: mum, dad, sister, my friends, his friend. So it was every element of my life was impacted by it. And then everyone's on their slow journey, you go through the stages, but I eventually, when you can eventually find joy again, was always what I wanted to do. And not just find joy again, to start thriving again and enjoying life. Like, it's a tough old journey, but like my business and my cycling club, cycling helped so much. If anyone is going through grief, like, one thing I'd say is just definitely exercises and community are just so wonderful for helping you to distract your mind, but also to free yourself. Escapism. There's other vices that people use for escapism, and I definitely have partied hard, but I still do. I still like to party. It's important to party.
Yeah, and have fun.
It's important to have fun.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. Like, life's too bloody short.
Yeah.
We both know that. Had lessons from the loss we've had. Life's too short, and if you're unhappy, you've got to move the dial yourself, because it isn't going to change just like that for you. We're not all going to fall into some massive pot of inheritance, and that might not necessarily bring happiness anyway. But we're not all going to be given something. You have to bloody earn it, and you've got to build it yourself if it's not there for you to take. So create your own opportunity.
I think that just something you said there really resonates with me is, I think both of us, I lost my mum in 2016. I think your brother also passed in 2016. And terrifyingly this week I realised that that's actually 10 years next year. And it, very much feels like it was yesterday in some regards, but also a lifetime ago with everything that's changed. But I think that it is that time, and you get to a place, everyone reaches it at a different point. But it is knowing that if I could look at myself then, now, and what I've achieved
Yeah.
and what you can get back from your life once you come to terms with what's happened, and that takes time.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. It really fuels you to almost do it for them,
Yeah.
and it becomes a brilliant driver.
And you should be so bloody proud of that. Like, you're saying, like, you know, not to blow too much smoke up each other's arse, but like, it's like you achieved that off the back of something. It drove you as your drive, and that's the same for me. It's like, you know, we won a few, humble brag, we won a few awards, and every time I've said this, whenever I win an award in my business, it'll always be dedicated to my brother, to James, because, you know, there were times when I started this business and I was doing 22-hour bloody shifts in a day of 24, and I'd be driving around somewhere like Bow at 5 in the morning, you know, having gone to make a delivery to somebody who ends up living in a flat and I can't even get access to their buzzer. So it's a total waste of time. And I would be, you know, like, not questioning whether I can do it, but I would just be like, how do I get out of this part of the business, this stage of the, you know, how do I get out of it? And, you know, I'd always have conversations in my head with him. I always have done, not necessarily weird or anything. It's just like you do sometimes like to think what they think, and bounce it off in your head.
Hope that they give you a signal or a sign that you're on the right path.
The green light. So,
or a great big red flag.
Roadworks. So that's the thing, and you know, I'm not spiritual or anything like that. It's just he's in my heart.
Yeah.
That's where he is. I don't believe he's anywhere else. But there's it's a driver.
Yeah.
And I think, and we're driven.
Yes.
And my mum though is and my dad. My mum is a different level. She works so hard. So I get it from her. But I think my brother has just inspired a different level of just like, I think it's more of this like, just go and do it. Go and get it.
Yeah.
Like, what would you do if you were, you know, put in a situation where it's like, you know, you're in one of those situations where you're like, I wish I could have done something different. You know, you just find out terrible diagnosis or something. Like, you will be thinking like, oh, I didn't live my life the way I wanted to do it. That moment could be tomorrow for so many people. Today could be after this. And I would always just say that, like, you know, you have to change it. And not everyone can. Of course, people have got responsibilities, commitments, can't do it. But I always hope that I aim to inspire through what I've done, because I started it with nothing. You know, no contacts in the industry, just me, my network of friends, and I built every single brick, and then got people in to help me build the bricks. And we built something. And that looks like a business, and it is a business. So it's, you know, that's
fantastic. You're such an inspiration. So Mejuicer, I mean, you had a phenomenal year last year, and kind of elevating the brand, and you were kind of everywhere. What do you think was your biggest win of 2024?
Oh, do you know what? There's so many. So there's a couple. There's the business and there's personal. The business, we understood, the biggest win was, as a business, we understood our value proposition. And with that, it allowed us to really understand what we can offer other companies beyond me just going in before. I'd be like, oh, we got ginger shots, they're good for you, blah, blah, blah. But I could communicate that we have a product which can enhance your own offering, not only as, you know, a company, but to your staff and the way you're going to be seen externally. There is so much value in that going forward for any business. And we can be your partner and your ally in helping you get to that stage. And I realized it was true, and they realized it, and companies realized it was true. And then we won, you know, Amazon, you know, we won Ralph Lauren. And it is Ralph Lauren, not Ralph Lauren, by the way. They tell you off if you say Lauren. Like I was doing a pop-up in Ralph on New Bond Street, and I was like, this is bonkers.
The pinchy moment.
Because it's like, they're premium brands, you know, like they know quality. And they brought us in to be a central part of their wellness, to show their staff, you know, not just as an incentive to get them to come back into the office, but it was a genuine, like, thank you. And you do notice companies that do care about their staff and the ones that don't.
Yes.
The ones that don't are the ones that don't buy our shots, but no. But I mean, like, you know, it when you see how much it means to them, and this came in also. The Ralph Lauren one came in from the MD, Patrick Chopin. I met him. He saw what we were doing, and he was like, "I want to introduce this." At the time, he wasn't MD. He then got promoted, and when he got promoted, he brought us in. And that was incredible for me because, you know, all the other stuff. You think about all that I was saying, like running around at night trying to get anyone to do it, asking influencers that if they'll post, all this sort of stuff. To get to in 3.5 years' time, the managing director of Ralph Lauren saying, "We want your products to here, and we want them for our staff." That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're the ones where you're like, even saying that sentence out loud is bonkers.
Exactly.
And I'm so bloody proud of everyone that's helped me get there, from my team, to my staff, to my customers, to anyone. Like, even that's what I said to you before when we met. I'm so proud to be here because someone wants to listen to what I've got to say, and that means a lot. And it means a lot to meet you and hear your story as well. So I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
And so that was like, that's on the brand and the company side. And then on the personal note, my favourite humble brag is that I got invited to Buckingham Palace by King Charles for a sustainability summit, international sustainability summit at Buckingham Palace.
Did you manage to get him to have one of the shots?
No, I wasn't allowed to take any of the shots in. But I shook his hand, and I was like, he was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, I had a little name badge on. He's like, "What's Mejuicer?" And I gave him a very, very quick, like, you haven't got very long when you meet the king, right? So there's a whole queue of people waiting. I gave my my elevator pitch, and he was like, "They sound marvelous." So, you know, do you know what? Since then, though, I am working on trying to get them in. I will get them in. I promise you, I will get them into the palace. Yeah, 100%.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here. Yeah, this year. That's one of my aims. But you know, I'm not a royalist. I'm not a big, massive fan of any of like these institutions. But you have to respect them, and for them to shown us enough respect to invite me to be there was an incredible honour. And I honestly, it's difficult because you weren't allowed to take photos, but we took videos and stuff afterwards. But I was grinning from cheek to cheek the whole time because I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is Queen Victoria's like ballroom, like reception area, and there's me walking around in my beige suit, which looked awesome, and just drinking champagne and having these little canopies, and then I met the CEO of Coots. I met Tony Hall, former Director General of BBC. It's like you've got the cabinet there. I'm talking to Nile Rodgers. You know, some of the senior people from Apple were there, and I'm in this room. And then I was like, shit, I'm in the room that I always wanted to be in, not because of like social, you know, like the face of social mobility, but to start a business from nothing and driving around in your little Mazda MX-5 two-seater convertible car, which everyone says is a hairdresser's car, which is very unfair. I loved it. But to go from that to being in Buckingham Palace, shaking the King's hand because of being recognised for what we do, is the honour of a lifetime, and that's why it was so special for me. And still smiling.
And you should be so proud of that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of your brand and brand awareness has very much been driven by social media.
Yeah.
How important has that been? And can you tell us a little bit about the way that you've built out that social media strategy to support the business?
Yeah. So, like, social media has been everything for the business. So when we first started, you know, so from a financial point of view, had, you know, about $5,000 personal savings. I'm a very impulsive person, which probably actually helps in some regards to business, but also not in other regards. Okay, so I like to spend money, not save so much. But social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Instagram certainly at the beginning it was so much easier back then to get reach, to get following. You know, we launched in lockdown when people were, a captive audience, quite literally, right? Everyone's stuck in their home. So, you know, you could get this following. I approached influencers with an approach which is always like, could you please, this is me, my story, not a sob story like on X Factor, but like just like, this is what we're about, these are our values, and then never saying what you want them to do, you just hope that they'll do something. And some people did fantastic content posts and we got loads of following. And what we did, this is what I always was my strategy. If you haven't got any money, this is again like I was saying about the frugality, driving innovation, was like you have to think creatively. So it's like, right, well, let's let our own network help build our business. So can we get advocacy from people who like our products, and will they talk honestly? But it's not one of those ones where we're asking them to be like, oh, I love this double glazed window, right? But it's a quick, easy product which people genuinely enjoyed. So it was always authentic. The brand has always been authentic. We've never paid anyone to promote our products. Just here it is, please do it. If, please do it. But they did it honestly, and it was all their own editorial content, and it grew. But the other thing is also that I hopefully it comes across that don't take myself too seriously. It's a very silly look at the blooming logo. So that's my face with like snake-like carrots. It's not because I'm a narcissist is the reason my face is on the front, but because I knew I could be silly with it. Like if I'm the brand to begin with, then and I'm silly, then it can embody my personality. And it was all about fun and laughter. And our social media, where it differs to other juice companies, their focus is a lot more on the healthy ingredients and like what the benefits are. Mine was always about the community that we're creating and can we all have some fun with it. We've got a product which is great. We know that. We know the health benefits because people have drank them from the beginning of dawn. We don't add any crap in there, so they're fresh and they're tasty and they're sustainable. There's your bedrock. And then the rest, there's the foundations. And then the rest was kind of like, well, now let's build a community of people that want to be part of that and be true to who I am as a person. I still go to raves. I love the rave scene, love partying, and it's kind of like, how do we intertwine our juices into that as recovery for these sorts of things, like or mixers?
Rather than kind of saying you can't do one or the other, actually make it so that you can have the balance to do both.
Exactly.
And I think it's a very clever way for. I think it's very clever that you're doing it in this way because drinks is quite a saturated market, and this is a really brilliant way to actually stand out and stay ahead of the crowd. And do you find that there are other brands popping up that are trying to do similar things, or how do you keep that creativity and innovation?
What's definitely changed in the last few years is that the personal brand stuff is really coming to the fore. Like you've got founders who lead companies and they want to sort of show who they are and what they do. Sometimes they use it to differentiate themselves or distance themselves from their own brand. Whereas mine, there's too much showing my face as the bloody logo. So I'm always going to be part of it. But, what I've been glad about what we've done is that, people used to say to me, oh, Joe, you are the brand, you are the business. And I find that sometimes quite insulting because I've built so much, and my team has built much more than that. And we have people who go out and can champion and sell our product without me being involved. So I don't think that's true. I know I'm a huge driver of why people like the community, but that's by the product and the company. I'm like, you don't need Colonel Sanders to sell chicken anymore. It sells itself in KFC. Where you are seeing other companies do it, I definitely think you're getting, with social media now. Product sucks on social media, by the way. You cannot push product. If you look at the engagement rates on it, any brand that's just trying to sell a product, there'll be, they could say they've got 300,000, followers. There'll be about 6 likes on the post. The algorithms don't like them, and I don't use TikTok, but that's that's very much generational thing. I think with Gen Z's being so key on it, on that short video content. It's so personable. It's all about the people. It's all about the behind the scenes. It's not polished content. So every platform's got a different purpose. And what I'm noticing is that I think brands are all very aware of that now. So you are seeing like where they can bring out the personality and the brand, the people behind it. They're doing it in different channels. So but then I do it on LinkedIn, which is the channel you're not supposed to do it on. But today,
it's good to mix it up and challenge that status quo. What do you think's been the biggest lesson that you've learned since launching the company?
Really good question. So I think it's really hard. So when you first bootstrap the business, as we did, I think I always had like one eye on spend and like what we're spending on and spending too much money. I think the main thing was like, be certain of things before you spend large amounts of money on them. Like, it's hard, sometimes you have to take risk, but if you're using services that you're not going to maximize, then don't do it. For example, I spent a lot of money on a content creation studio, which was fantastic, but the problem was that I didn't have the time to actually go and do it all, book out the studio. So we actually didn't use it enough. And we could have got so much more out of it. But back to the original question, I think the biggest sort of sting we had was like we used basically a company to do our deliveries. It's one of the things when I started the company, I was like, how do I get out of this stage? How do I get someone in, and then I can do something else? So for the company to grow, I had to get out the operations, the making it, delivering it, and I outsourced it to a startup company. And can't say too much, but it was an absolute disaster. And I had customers saying to me, Joe, like, these are my people who've been with me for years, they're like, mate, you have to change it because this is really hurting your brand. Everything is crap. And I was like, oh man. And I had signed a contract. First time I'd signed a contract with something or someone else. And obviously I got some advice and managed to get out of it, given the fact they weren't delivering the service to the service agreement. But there, I think, was a real lesson in that kind of like, oh wow, like it can go wrong very quickly.
Yes.
And
that trust you built with those customers can be lost very quickly, and it makes you very protective of those people that are supporting you.
Exactly, because this is the thing about customer service, right? From a business owner, nobody wants it to go smoother or better than I do. The last thing I ever want to do is have someone who's dissatisfied with the product, the service, and the way sometimes you get people who don't know you so well, and they're straight on it, like, oh no, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a human being behind the brand.
I'm always like, look,
here.
I'm always like, look, always going to hit the refund button. You're never going to want to have someone unhappy. It doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
But we had it once where I used to always give everyone an extra shot. Like, if all my subscription customers, we used to give them, if they ordered 10, I'd always chuck in 11, just to goodwill. Right? Yeah. One week they got 10 and someone kicked off about it, like, where's the 11th? And I was like, it was always a freebie. You can't win sometimes. Like with Venom as well. And I was like, I was like, but it's a tough thing. The customer is always right. They have to be. Even though they're not, they have to be seen as right, because there's nothing to gain from antagonizing anyone. Like, your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
You've got one person running their mouth off about a bad experience. So you got to be careful, and that's what happened with this other, when we weren't doing our delivery. So massive lesson learned. Then they say about like turning adversity into something positive. I've hired one of the best things I ever did is Zane, our delivery driver, who's not just a delivery driver, he is our fulfillment, just become integral to the business. He's just brilliant. I can't see, like, when you find someone who's fantastic, it's just like you've got to hold on to them with everything you've got. I just like it will, it's that saying, like, run through walls for you, but just really, it gave me so much confidence where I massively lost confidence. And that's the first time I ever lost confidence, was on how can I trust someone else to deliver the service that I used to, which was a smile, understanding customer feedback and data points. Like, he'll even say, like, Joe, they've said, they're really keen on the pineapple. I might not be told that by the client, but then he tells me, and I'm like, okay, next week, more pineapple. So and
it's those small things that really do make the difference.
That's it. And that's why when we're driving the business forward, when he started with me, he was doing 1 day. He's now doing 4 days. Yeah, love that. Like, he's got making so much money with the company, and and
he knows how important he is as well, which is brilliant.
Massively so. And then that's another thing. It's a big learning. Is like, what are the vulnerabilities of your business? That's the thing I've now learned. I've always got to be looking at.
Yeah.
And one is obviously, because there was one day where that idiot had played football and done his ligaments in his knee, so he couldn't. He's like, I got a call. I can't do the deliveries. So then I had to jump in, and I was like, oh god. And we've scaled up significantly since when I used to do it. So I had to take my little car, that 3 trips it took, but we got it done. And I realised that we need cover for him. So he's got that sorted now. So he's growing his business, but we are learning, and when you learn, you make mistakes. You've got to learn from your mistakes.
And grow, and that is a sign of growth as well.
Big time. Yeah.
So I can't have you on our podcast, and without asking you a personal finance question.
Yeah, let's go.
So you know, we often talk about the fact that a lot of our money habits are set pretty much by the time we reach age 7. And I personally came from a family that loved to spend,
Yeah, yeah.
so I caught that. I caught that bug. But you know, is there anything that you have taken? You know, obviously managing a business is super stressful.
Yeah.
How have you found, as you've been growing, managing and juggling your own personal finances? And is there anything that you're kind of having to untrain yourself from your childhood when looking at the finances of the business?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's the question that I'm still learning and adapting to all the time. I'm not from a finance background. I'm from a background of like my salary was always seen as my fun tokens. I never saved, and like ADHD, impulsivity. I'm like, you know, if ever I've got money, I'm buying friends drinks. You know, because I love to have fun.
Yeah.
And through personal experience, I've seen how short life is, and you know, as great as it is having these stacks of, you know, cash in the bank, I also never wanted to not do the things I wanted to do. And I think if you can be in a position where you can afford that lifestyle, like my entrepreneurial journey for what Mejuicer is lifestyle. You know, I wanted it to give me a better life, and it has done. And now I'm getting much closer to financial security than I was, you know, this time last year.
Amazing.
You know, we've grown the revenue, doubled our revenue, and projections are fantastic for this year. And you know, I can start to look at, you know, what I'm going to be, you know, what the potential is for my earnings. But then also, I think that we have an angel investor.
Yeah.
And he's been absolutely brilliant, and you know, I'm so blessed in the sense that he has never put any pressure on me, and he knows the project is a long-term one,
Yeah.
but also just wants to give me the resource to be able to do what I've got to do. And that if anyone is ever looking for investment, honestly, like, it's the character of your investor which I'd be looking at more than the amount of money they've got, because the last thing you ever want to be doing is feeling under stress or pressure to make someone else money from a business that was your dream.
Yeah.
It turns into a nightmare very quickly.
Yeah.
And I got that advice from a lot of founders early on, so I didn't want to shift any equity. I wanted to maintain you know, what I had. And trust me, I met some people who, like, you know, you meet people on the road who will gaslight you into thinking that you have to sell, or that, you know, you need them more. And it's like, shucks, there's so many people with money.
Yeah.
So many people in this country with big stacks of money. And, you know, with EIS, SEIS, whatever it is, like, there's so much opportunity to get money off people. And that's something I've now learned, and I know that I'm patient with it. You know, our cash flow is finally good 4 years in. You know, finally profitable, you know, and a sense that, like, you know, there's people earning good money now from the company, and some, you know, and the company's making some. So,
and that must be so rewarding for you, because you've been grafting for that time. And, you know, you've hit it. But I couldn't agree more. I've got 2 amazing angels that have invested in me, and I think the character of those investors, as you said, is so important. And you know, we're fortunate to be in that situation. There's a lot of founders that find themselves in a different situation. One more question for me, because I feel like we're probably going to freeze to death in here with the aircon. So apologies. Apologies for that today. But what should we be looking out for, and what's next for Mejuicer?
Wow. What should you be looking out for? Well, I'm going to see my face all over the place, aren't you? The logo. We are on one. And I'm so driven. You know, we're massively pushing corporate hospitality. So I really want to become like a business that is, you know, in as many offices as we can across London, across the premium dining kind of sector. But we're also, you know, we also deliver to home. So there's also the home delivery option as well. So we want to be seen in as many fridges as we can as well. But for me personally, I think I've got a lot more to give in terms of inspiration, you know, and like, you know, I think the greatest compliment you can ever have is if someone says they're inspired by you, because I know who inspired me and how much they mean to me. And also, you should always tell people, I think, if they inspire you, because it genuinely, it's so heartwarming, because it's like someone's it's recognition of what you're doing, and then someone saying that rather than envy or jealousy, they're kind of like, I really kind of want to do some of this, or how do I do it, or how do I adapt it to me? And I will give anyone the time who wants me, if they ask me that, to try and help them figure that out, because people did that for me. So in terms of my personal journey as a business leader, I do want a much bigger voice in business, and from someone who started from nothing to building it to where it is. I think a lot of founders that get a lot of airtime, especially on podcasts, I think are from backgrounds where they had it, I would say, financially pretty easy. And I think that's a massive difference to someone who has to make it work.
Yeah.
Someone who could make it work, and if they don't,
It
might
doesn't
get a
really
little
matter.
bit more money.
Yeah.
From a network where they've probably got people around them that are already wealthy, and it's not like to slag off everyone's product of their environment, but I think that there's a different level of hunger in people that are ambitious and haven't had it before.
Yeah.
And I'm not greedy. I just want to create something that's positive, and that I want a big team. That's the thing. If you see more, hopefully, where do you see me? Hopefully, I see some people that listen to this that might want to join our team, want to help us grow. It's about collaboration. It's about joy. It's about a journey. And the biggest thing I'd say is about story.
Yeah.
Businesses, and your life is like a story, but this business, what we always try to show people through our content and actually what is happening is that there's different chapters, there's different characters, antagonists, protagonists. Some are in it for a chapter, some are in it till the end. Some are in it for a scene, but they all have an impact on the story. And it's our sort of job as a business to keep as many people in our story and engaged in our story, and wanting to know what happens next. And I think that's what I'm just really enjoying, really, is being the author.
Building that out. Well, we're looking forward to seeing what's in the next chapter. And thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I could have literally chatted to you all afternoon, so thank you.
No, thank you as well for having me on. Love it. Lovely to meet you. Lovely questions, and it's just really nice to talk about these things, because it's finance is interesting, and it's like something that used to scare me, and now it's something that I realised that I do have a lot more passion than I thought. But thank you so much for a wonderful conversation.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.